So, Frank's gone. Not before time. I feel sorry for him because, let's face it, as has been mentioned before, he was fighting with one arm tied behind his back. When you have to replace Richarlison with Neil Maupay, you know things are going downhill. Well, all respect to Neil Maupay, but he's no Richarlison, is he? Should have gone ages ago, to be honest with you. I feel sorry for him because he comes across as a decent fella. I don't think there's been two managers I've wanted to succeed most, or more rather, than Roberto Martinez and Frank Lampard. Both lovely fellas. Both have completely bought into the club and the supporters. Both falling very short of where we needed to be. So let's face it, Lampard should have gone after Bournemouth and given whoever was coming in all that time to prepare, get used to what they needed to do and sort some stuff out. And it hasn't happened, obviously, because we've got an absolute clown asylum running the place, which is really what I wanted to talk about. What I think needs to happen, and again, I'm not going to speak on behalf of all Evertonians, it's just what I see and what I've sort of experienced in the past, what I think should happen. And it's not difficult. Is that we should take a photocopier to Amsterdam and just copy the Ajax blueprint. Really simple. And for people who are saying that it can't work, well, it can. It did for them. Johan Cruyff took it to Barcelona where it worked for them. And that particular system worked under Guardiola at Barcelona between 2008 and 2012, was it? Produced the best football and the best club side I've ever seen. And it was done just by copying the Ajax system. Now I know they've got a bit weird, haven't they, in the last 5 or 6 years. Instead of bringing players through the youth system, they've just been throwing money at people left, right and centre. That's why they're in as much trouble as they are. But the Ajax system is really simple and should work for anyone. You take the Ajax system and add in Premier League money and it's a no-brainer. It's a really simple thing to do. You start off, that board has got to go. All of them. There's just no excuses for what they've been doing with the fans. Throwing them under the bus. That's it, that's gone now. There's absolutely no coming back from that. So you need to get someone in who understands what they're doing. Get a CEO who knows what they're doing. And a director of football, whether that's Kevin Thelwell, I don't know. But whoever it is. And they need to get together. And the first thing they need to do is work out an identity. Now again, Ajax have got that identity. They play very much a possession-based style of football. And once you've worked out what your identity is, then that is from the top to the very bottom of the club in every single age group. And you play a system or a set of systems, and all the players within that club need to be able to know how to play within those systems. Really simple. So your first team plays whatever system they play. So do your under-23s. And for example, full-back is a really specialised position. So your left-back, your first team left-back gets injured. It should just be simple for the under-23 left-back to come in. Because he's played the same system, he's played, all the coaches are singing off the same hymn sheet. They know what to expect. There's no surprises about throwing someone into the first team. They know what's expected of them. They know what the other players around them are going to do because they all play the same systems. And then your under-23s need the left-backs, your under-19s and under-21s all move up. And everyone moves up that age group. And they're all gaining experience at the higher level. Really simple. And that way, if there's a problem with the manager or the coach in that case, and you need to get rid, fine. Get rid of your coach, your under-23 coach moves up. Or, if you can't do that, you then go and find a coach that fits in with your system. not the other way round. Have a look at some of the issues that we've got at Everton. You look at the managers that we've had over the last so many years. Martinez and Marco Silva like to play possession-based attacking football, tiki-taka, for want of a better phrase, nice passing. Allardyce liked to lump it as long as he could and play the percentages. Koeman, I don't know, you tell me. I was expecting total football, and what we got was a total shambles, but there you go. So there's all these different managers who've come in and spent a huge amount of money buying players they think will fit in with their system. So we're stuck with a squad with some players who are comfortable on the ball. I know not many of them. Some who are used to playing a bit of a pressing game, or some playing on the break at pace. It's just no coordinated thinking about what these players are. If you have a set way of playing, then it doesn't matter if there's a coach in charge or not. Even if you sack the coach, and we know we need a defending midfielder, the director of football goes and buys a defensive midfielder that he knows fits in with that system. You don't need to wait till someone comes in like we're doing now. We are wasting day after day after day until someone comes in, at which point they'll say, oh, I don't know, I need some players. Yeah, we know you need players. If you've got your system in place, you know exactly what you need to do and who you need to go and sign. So it saves money. And it takes a bit of buy-in, and it might take a little bit from us and a bit of time for that to bed in, that culture. But I think it would work. It would also take a bit of buy-in from the club and understanding that it's not just the club where this has to work. You have to start looking just outside the club and giving a bit of money and looking at grassroots football. And I know this because I lived in Holland. I moved there in 1982 when I was 9, and I played for Sportclub Enschede, which is the FC20, the team, professional team in Enschede. They were formed when Sportclub Enschede and Enschede's Boys merged. The two professional clubs merged to make what we now know as FC20. Now Sportclub and Enschede's Boys carried on as amateur teams, so they're still in that sort of feeder system to FC20. And me as a 9-year-old, when I went there, I started playing for that team, and everything was geared towards getting you to the next step, to the next age group. Each age group was split into 3 teams, A, B and C. A be your best players, B be your second best, C were the stragglers. But you all played at a certain level, and then if you thought you were getting better, they would put you in the level above to try and improve you. But everything was about getting you to the next level. So eventually you'd go into Sport Club's first team, and then possibly on to FC20 afterwards. And what I mean by a bit of buy-in as well from sort of the grassroots, what used to happen is when I was at school on a Wednesday, you'd go in every morning as normal and do your lessons. How anybody who had a sports club to go to in the afternoon, whether it was football or hockey, cycling, volleyball, korfball, things like this, you could go to your sports team in the afternoon. You didn't have to go back into school. And it was all about getting kids out and getting fit and healthy and playing sports and using that as part of your general education. So there's money and investment in kids, and we used to go and do our training on Wednesday afternoons. And the first thing we did was we'd have skill school. So you do your little running around cones, you do your Cruyff turns, you'd have someone throwing a ball at you so you could control it with your left foot, your right foot, with your chest, with your head. And you got used to controlling and feeling comfortable with the ball. There was loads of ball work. That's why they're so technically proficient if you watch Dutch players, because they've been brought up with that system of, this is your tool, this is your main tool that you use, you need to be comfortable with it. Whereas you look at the players we've got now, as soon as they get the ball, they're looking to get rid because they are absolutely shit scared of it. And also, we didn't do the thing that you do in England, where you put 9-year-old boys on a full-size pitch, where you can barely hit the halfway line with a clearance. Stupid. We'd have one full-size pitch, and you'd have 3 pitches going along widthways, and you would play widthways, goals at either end, and you would learn your position You would learn, because it's on a smaller, you were smaller people and you were on a smaller pitch, you would learn your positioning, you would learn what it feels like when you're getting older. You move to bigger pitches, but it was always the same. You were always the sort of same kind of distances away from each other. It wasn't just miles away and you were trying to hit someone. So everything was about producing better footballers and getting you used to how you play. I'm a centre forward, always have been, and I had to play one full season at right back. And that was to get me used to a different position and to understand how I played up front and how it affected how someone at the back plays, what I should be doing as a forward to help out a right back or a centre half or a midfielder, to have a little bit of empathy for what they're going through. No doubt if we hadn't moved back to England in 1985, I would have played in midfield for a season as well. But it was all done to produce a better footballer and a better quality of footballer. I don't think that's impossible to do over here. I mean, my dad went back to England in 1985 and signed for Tranmere, and he tried to bring some of these ideas back, and it just wasn't accepted by Tranmere. I mean, they could have had a fantastic youth system by now, bringing these players through, just by taking some of the ideas that were over in Europe years before the likes of Arsene Wenger started introducing them. I mean, this is way before him, but it's the same kind of thing. It's all about producing better footballers, and for me, that should be the same for producing a better football club. Ajax have done it since, I don't know, was it the 50s or 60s? Have that same system. They produce top class players every single year, and if you can keep on doing that and bringing through a Frenkie de Jong or a Matthijs de Ligt that you can also then sell on for huge amounts of money, then your club is stable financially, but you're going to be in the Champions. Well, they're in the Champions League every year. You stand a good chance of getting yourself silverware and getting higher and higher up the league, because you're bringing through elite quality players who can play in a system, who are not scared to play in your system. So I just think it's a no-brainer. But we need to find an identity. What is our identity? What is it going forward? I can't see us being a tiki-taka team. I certainly can't see us being a long ball team like the old Wimbledon were. I think the nearest we've ever come to it is under David Moyes. When he came in and he mentioned the People's Club and started going on about all the fans being, all the Liverpool-based fans being Everton fans, it was all just little sound bites, but everyone got on board with it. And then he had a team that was built of hungry players that played at pace and gave 100% all the time. I mean, the difference now, back then, we used to know that being in the street end where my season ticket is, that the second half would just be wave after wave after wave of attack. So no matter what the score was at the end of the game, you got your money's worth and you just knew everyone give 100%. I don't see that from any of those players out there anymore. So maybe that was what we need as fans. We need to see that effort and commitment. Is that our identity? If it is, build the club around that. But we certainly need to do something. And I think their way of doing it, where from the very top to the very bottom, there is one theme, one style of play. Every coach from first team down to under nines plays the same way, same formations, the same tactics, the same attitude, the same way of doing things. Then you bring through your players much quicker, much easier. We are really bad at bringing youngsters through. We seem to have a really good under-23 team that wins the Premier League 2 title, and that doesn't translate to bringing these people onto the park for Everton. We can send them away to championship clubs and they have pretty decent careers, but it just doesn't translate to us. So I just think that's the best way of doing it. I don't think it's too difficult. It might take a little bit of time for us, but it can be done. And they need to do something very, very quickly, because we are getting towards the end of this transfer window. We haven't got a manager. Squad is absolutely abysmal. We know what we need as fans. We know what players we need coming in. So Kevin Fell will just go out and buy players that we know we need. Don't wait for the manager. We need something. Do it now. Anyway, I just needed to get that off my chest because it's been annoying me for the last couple of days. and I can't see it getting any better, to be honest with you. It's getting to the point where it doesn't even hurt anymore. I'm starting to lose every bit of love I had for football. Get more enjoyment watching Wrexham at the moment, seeing how much that club's developed, and FC Twente. I love watching them. I've been following FC Twente since, 82. So I've had 40 years of watching them, 3 years as a season ticket holder, so I can still enjoy watching them getting good results. Although they were drawing while I was making this video, so I don't know how that game's finished up. But Everton, just a loss is a loss now. Not that it doesn't bother me, but it just doesn't really hurt. Especially after having my stroke. It's like, you know what? Not even asked anymore. There's worse things in life. But something needs to change. The board certainly needs to change. You can't throw the fans under the bus when it's other areas that are causing the problems. So I hope this gets sorted out quickly. Anyway, that's enough. Onwards and upwards. There's always next week. Oh Christ, no, there's always next week. Oh well. See you soon.